to do a quick introduction here, to share with you a few things about what we will be doing together. And you know how I love to receive feedbacks, and I just use all of the feedbacks that I received from you. And the first one from the last town hall was that after the town hall, you felt very energized. And I usually say that, you know, the KPI for me of a good meeting is just to look when you finish a meeting at the level of energy you have when you leave the meeting. And that's what can tell you if the meeting was successful or not. Because if you leave a meeting with great energy, this is where you can just go put the action plan into place. So I was really happy to hear that. So that's my first, I would say, mantra. Energy is so important, and you know that. The second thing that I want to bring at the table here is I heard a lot of feedbacks also, which are fair feedback from each of you saying, oh, we got some clarity from where we were in July, but we need more clarity. And of course you need more clarity because this is a journey we're going on here and it will take some time. So the second mantra that I want to share with you is, I will say it in French because we are in France, and then I will translate. Rome ne s'est pas fait en un jour. C'est ça qu'on dit en français, hein? So if I translate it, it's Rome wasn't built in one day. And I will share my fresh hire reports with you after we go through the safety and welcome in France, but that's something I really want all of you to have in mind. It will take time. We will succeed, but it will take time, and we have to be patient. We have to be mature. We have to really take our time to make it work. Last but not least, the third mantra I have, you remember, the first one is energy, energy, and always energy. The second one is it needs time. And by the way, it's not because it needs time that it's boring. It can be very challenging, but we just have to be very patient here in the journey. The third one is about my favorite subject, which I think is the key success factor of everything in life and in the workplace. It's all about behaviors. And I speak about that more in my introduction. You know how I like to say behaviors are so important because behavior drives the results. And that's something that we can definitely work on, and I'll come back on that. So I hope you keep in mind these three mantras. I'll come back to that in the intro. Because you want a lot of clarity, what I decided is, of course, we are HR, we are a business partner here, and we are a support function. I told you last time, try to be. That being said, to be able to be successful, we first have to focus on ourselves. And I understand you want more clarity on how we work together. You want more info about the organization. So I decided to really dedicate these two town halls, this one and the one we will have in November, on us. Us, who are we? How do we work together? And what do we want to achieve? So this town hall, I ask each of the leader on my first line here to give 10 minutes clarity. And we are not there yet, but of course, we're making some progress. So Erwin will speak about US domestic HR, Margaret will speak about talent management, and Patrick will speak about communication, culture, and D&I. Next town hall in November, that will be the time where all of the goals are set up, and I will want that we all share our goals. Because the worst thing that can happen in a company is working in silos and not having the right behaviors. When you work as a collective team and you know what are the goals of your colleagues, that's where magic happens, because this is when you can start to really make sure you can reach your own goal, but you can help others also to reach their goals. So that's the agenda for today. Sorry, little bug here. That's my energizing speaker who is speaking on its own. That being said, now I will turn on to Desiree because we're so happy to be in France and we'll have a safety moment and a specific welcome from the French team. Desiree.
So maybe we can go on with the slide.
Veronique.
Yes.
Before we move on, Sydney, go to the next slide. Before we move on, I wanted you to take a moment and just recognize some of our new joiners, and we have some anniversaries and some movers. So if you just wanted to mention them before we move on to the safety moment.
Yeah, do you want to do it, Patrick? And I will make a lot of big applause here.
No, I can't read the names from where I'm standing, so that's why it would be great if you would do it for me.
Okay, I will do it for you with great pleasure. So we want to welcome new joiners, but we also want to welcome internal move that we have, because at the end of the day, you know, it's all about how do we all work together and how do we create opportunities within the team. So Shannon, and that would be great if Shannon is here. So I'll try to do it in the right way. Shannon Hughes-Swaney, Senior Manager, Health and Wellness. Shannon, are you here? Not in the room. Okay. Nashley Garcia Morales. Hey, thanks, Kyle. I see your message. Welcome, team. Welcome on board. Recruitment specialist here. Rebecca Wist, Senior HR Generalist, UGI Corporation. So I will read the name, and if you're here, please say a big hi to the team because it's good to see you. Lauren Fletcher Claudius, Senior HR Generalist for UGI Corporation. Jessica Maroquin. Oh, that sounds French here. Recruitment Specialist, UGI Corporation. And Nick Fortnasig, who just arrived yesterday, Talent Acquisition Manager. I think Nick is in the room here over there in Valley Forge. Yes. And then we have Steve, who is moving, and a big congrats to Steve. I saw Steve on the screen, who is moving Director HRBP for UGI Utilities. So big congrats, and I propose to do a big applause to all of you and all of these moves that create some dynamic and that creates some energy. So big applause. We also have some anniversaries here, and you know how I love to say, to have a really healthy company, we need to have new people with fresh ideas, with benchmarks from outside, but we also need to have people who've been there for a long time with history, and this is where, again and again, the magic happens when you all work together. 5 years anniversary, joyeux anniversaire, Samantha Massé, HRIS functional lead. Maybe you're in the room over there, we can see you. I hear it. Big applause to Samantha, 5 years with us. 10 years, Lynn Haney. Yeah, I think you're there, manager benefits. Lynn, are you in the room over there? No, we can't hear you actually, but okay, big applause, joyeux anniversaire.
She's here and we applauded.
15 years, Chris Ballard. I'm sure you're there over there, Chris. Okay, Andrea Stankova. Oh, international, yes, HR administrator, Andrea. Big applause for the 15 years. And 20 years, Gail Jones, payroll coordinator, being in Valley Forge, I guess, and Suzanne Moore, payroll specialist. Happy birthday, 20 years. Great, thank you. So time to go on to security safety moments. And please, Patrick, make sure you're the timekeeper. We want to make sure we have some time for Q&A at the end, because that was part of the feedback of last town hall. We really wanted to have time to ask questions here.
Yes, we need to move on.
That's time to move on, Desiree. Safety moment here.
So, yeah, you know, in France, as you can from the pictures behind me, we just had a very emotional breakup, which, by the way,
Desiree, you need to move closer to the microphone.
Wait.
Come here, Desiree. So, Margaret,
well, so as we were saying, you know, we had a great event in France right now, which will go over to you next time. The pictures, I mean, you can see them, you all know what I'm speaking about, but all these pictures have something in common, which I would like you to comment in the chat if you see it. Not only French victories, I guess, but it's also something else. So what is it for you? And okay, singing the small song, 2 minutes. Okay, done. Anyway, it is the help. Yeah, the good looking man. Very good, Margaret, you found it. But actually, also the good looking man with the helmet. So the personal protective equipment, which is something we are really fond of in UGI, as you all know, and that's really something we want to ensure you all remember, especially when you are riding your bike, but also obviously purely in other moments in the company and outside of the company. So if we go on, you will see it. Why do we have this concern of the helmet? There is a lot of parts of our body which are precious, but the brain especially needs to be protected. And in the event of a fall, there is a lot of possibilities and chances that there might be a head injury. And especially for kids, it is even more so. So in order to protect your skull from a cranial trauma, which can cause a lot of negative effects afterwards, not only immediately, but even in the period after, it is really essential to cover your head in a proper way in order not to get injured. So if we go even deeper, it is not only something that we would do in the minimum level and terms that we need, but really also going to the max. So there is some mandatory things that you would really need to consider, especially when you're riding your bike, but in all other occasions as well. And there is some recommended protection as well. By the way, it's really funny that I do this safety moment because I'm not able to ride a bike. Great. But I really ask you to use all of this, which a lot of them I'm not really 100% sure how I would be if I needed to use them.
And I know in Europe we have a lot of people who come to work by bike, more and more. That's a trend here.
Yeah, and that's why if we go to the next slide, it's also interesting to see there is a lot of countries which have decided to take some actions in order to, ask and push people to use helmets by law even. So you can see it here. It's interesting, I thought, because there are still a lot of countries where actually, it's left to yourself, but there is starting to be, you see Australia, for example, or also some countries in South America and something in North America as well, where it is actually mandatory to wear a helmet while riding a bike, which is, I think, a good thing, and probably it will arrive sooner or later here as well, because as you were saying, a lot of people even more are now using the bike more than before.
And even in the US, I know you don't come to work in Valley with your bike because there are a lot of big highways, but I'm starting to discover over there a biking trail next to, there is a very nice park over there. So great, thank you so much, Desiree. Next time you each take your bike, please think about Desiree and the safety moment. Very important here.
Great. Yeah, and then we wanted to really welcome you as a French team. Unfortunately, you cannot see a lot of it, but we really made an effort here. So a lot of people in this room have very typical French clothes, including me with the Au revoir t-shirt and my colleague here with a lot of French Paris and Amour. And a lot of Frenchness in here.
Can you see the room, Patrick?
No, we can't. So what I would suggest is that you take some photos with your phones, and you can upload the photos in the chat in the meeting chat, so we can see what you look like. We just see Veronique with the beautiful new UGI Corporation background.
Yes, indeed. And you know what I can read from here? I can read this T-shirt. What is written, Amour is French. And you all know that France is a country of love here.
And of style, clearly. You can see.
Exactly.
So, bienvenue.
Thank you from the French team to welcome us here. And congrats for the great progress. We just had a meeting together just before, and I was congratulating the team on all the progress here. So, thank you so much. So I guess, Patrick, I will take it from there. And I wanted to introduce this session, and I called it Fresh Eye Reports. I just wanted to give you some insight about this last month that I spent in this new role about overseeing the ATSWE. Sorry. You know, in the US, I always say that in French because they love it, like ATSWE, you know. And if you do it twice, then we say to your love. This is, again, the country of love. So. But yeah, I really wanted to share with you kind of fresh eye reports. And guess what is the question that when I arrive in the States, the HR people and all people ask me the most? No, it's not the elephant, not yet, Patrick. Everybody, I heard that, I think 50 times they came to see me saying, oh, you're from Paris. I said, yeah, I am from Paris. And would love to have a seminar at some point in Paris and come there as a team. And you know what? I would love to be able to organize that. And I can tell you with Patrick in the previous slide together, we organize a lot of global meetings like that. We are not there yet. As I was telling you in the mantra, Rome was not built in one day. And this is a journey we are going through together. And if you want my fresh eye report, it's the same at the group level and at HR level. What I'm seeing here is that we have some things which are broken, which have to be fixed. The good news is it's fixable, but it will take some time. And you know, when you want to rework on the process and give clarity, and that's what we will be doing, it can be done in 2 months. So I will really require to each of you to really be patient, be mature enough to really think that we have to do progress step by step, but we can't fix everything at once. And that's about the process. Now, there's one thing that we can fix and we can change now. Guess what it is? The behaviors. The behaviors are what we can change now. And I can tell you that from my fresh air report, we need a cultural shift here. And we need to make sure that we all work in a collaborative way and that we all work with all of our behaviors. You know, when we speak about collaborating with others, acting, you know, with a customer mindset and make sure we respect each other, that's not only words, that's really what we have to do. And from my past experience, I can tell you that this is the key of success here. So when I say behaviors drive results, really, really serious. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have. So let's put the elephant now. You know my story about, so this elephant that you see, in my office in Valleyforge, because I realized that, you know, the first thing about behaviors is to be able to speak to each other and to be very honest. And I need to be very honest with you, team here. I've been very disappointed on one point I want to share with you. We launched this performance process and campaign in the US. And the way I work is always to say, we can change everything at once. So with the team, we're looking at how it's organized and make sure we can do some rec and make it right next year. So I'm looking at everything. So we have this process. It starts 2 weeks self-assessment, 2 weeks manager review. And I'm like, okay, through the journey, I will try to fix and to make some improvement here. One of the improvements I wanted to make in the US with you is to say self-assessment was not mandatory. And I truly believe in my conviction that self-assessment is really important. Why? Because when you speak about behaviors, the first step to do is to reflect on yourself. And I don't want to be in this world where the manager is telling to the guy, you're like that, you're like that. No, to be adult to adult. Let's step back, think about our own behavior, and then have a constructive discussion with the manager. So I pushed for it. And I said, okay, let's use the process that you have. It's 2 weeks, it's kind of very aggressive, and I push for it. So at the ELT, I'm sharing the status and so on. We arrive at the end of this campaign, and I've got 2 things: what great, what which was very disappointing for me. The first one is I see a lot of BUs, and I want to thank all of you in the room who really worked hard on that, who reached the self-assessment 98%, like nearly 100%. I looked at HR, 85%. Can't work. I mean, when I say we have to lead by example, and I know we're all busy, we have things, it's very serious. Look at me in the room. I'm here telling the ELT, hey guys, we have to do it. Oh, by the way, my team didn't do it. And you have to know something. I always back my team. So I wouldn't say my team is not good. But I was feeling so ashamed. How can I push if I don't have the result in my own team? So I really wanted to put the elephant in the room. We're launching the process in Europe, and I really count on all of you to do your self-assessment, of course, and it worked last year, so there's no reason it won't work. For the US now, we've got the management assessment. Again, it's very aggressive, 2 weeks. Very aware that we have a lot of things which happens, and especially in Americas and other business units. It's kind of a challenge for all, but we need to make it and we need to push for it, because again, we can't say that we are in a high performance culture if we don't do it. So I really ask you, each of the HR manager in the room, to do your assessment here and to do your reviews. I just looked at the stats and I wanted to send it to the ELT. I didn't. You know why? Because we were at 13% yesterday, or 14, and Americas was at 13%. I want to share it tomorrow and be able to show that we are much more than that. And it's not only a matter of, you know, because I want some quality here, but it's a matter of, if we just don't do it ourselves, it won't work. So I hope the point is very clear, and I really wanted to start with that. That's the way to put the elephant in the room. That being said, there are a lot of good news here. And I wanted to share with you, I'm invited in a lot of different town halls, and I went to the town hall, procurement town hall, and I went to the IT town hall, and guess what they asked me to speak about in IT? Emotional intelligence. And I was really like, wow, okay, I'll speak about that. And I just wanted to give you an heads up of what I shared with them, if we can put the next picture here. So the whole thing about behaviors at the end of the day is how do we function as a human? And I love this thing when we say there is a head, there is the heart, and there is the hands. In companies, usually we focus a lot on the head. What do? We focus a lot on the hands. Forget to think about, hey guys, we've got a heart here. We are human beings. We have emotions, and emotions plays a big part here. When I tell you I'm disappointed about the result we have in HR, you know, when I saw that, I was really mad and angry. And then I was like, you know what? That's okay. We have the town hall. I'll speak with them. I'll put it on the room. The heart is really, how do you feel? And that's what is the most important. So the big thing about emotional intelligence is to be reflective enough to say, okay, first I need to know what are my emotions. That's not easy, you know, just reflect, say, okay, what am I feeling now? If I feel joy, that's great. If I feel frustration, anger, what do I do with that? In the workplace, do I gossip with that and try to make some negative thing, or do I just step back, manage my own emotion and try to bring it in a constructive way? That's what I expect from you, by the way. We really want everything can be said, but in a constructive way. And then the second step of emotional intelligence is the other. So as soon as you know your emotion and you manage your own emotion, then you have to feel what's happening beyond you and around you. What are the emotions around the table? Like I see the French team is really serious to, you know, like, and by the way, I want to take an example about this. 4 months ago, the French team, you know how the union can say that we have issues in the team. We have some issues in the HR team. They said there's something which doesn't work there. I was so mad. And they remember here. I came in the meeting, like, hey guys, there's something which doesn't work. And I was really mad. And I was speaking with anger. And I knew it was not good. And they gave me the feedback saying, what's happening here? So then we had very constructive, discussion. I understood it was a behavior problem. And I acted on that very quickly and decisively. That's how now we've got also good news in the team, and it's getting better. But okay, it's a journey. It's not easy, but we have to really think about it and do it, because that's the key success factor. So as soon as you manage to manage your own emotion, then you feel the emotion in the room. And this is from where that you start building relationship and speaking with each other. And at the end of the day, I was telling you in introduction, if we can change all of the process very quickly, we can change the behaviors. And that's a very good news. You know, in life, there is what we call the intelligence quotient, IQ, and the emotional quotient, EQ. The IQ, you just do some tests, you have it. That's like that for life. The EQ, you can change it and you can improve on it. That's the very good news of the day. And all of the studies, and I'm sure you're reading a lot of studies here, which show you that in the changing environment in the workplace, what makes the most difference in the workplace are the behaviors and the emotional intelligence of people. So that's where I'm really counting on you. And I want to finish this introduction with really thing, because, you know, I love to look at positive here. When I see all of you coming for the town hall and really wanted to get some energy from each other, I'm very happy. When I see how the performance process is driven, and I see Aaron is pushing for it, and I see that yesterday with the business partners and the performance team, you had some meetings to speak together to make it work, I'm very happy. When I see that Erin is meeting with her team, and I had some feedbacks, I was there at the dinner last time with the team, and everybody is like, oh, it's so good to get clarity and to be together. You know, I'm very happy. When I see that in Europe, like Desiree and Agatha are working to make in place some process about how do we validate job and how do we approve job at the right level, I'm very happy. There are a lot of good things. When I see the BUGI campaign, and by the way, I heard the feedback when people said we have to not push too much, because I want to push on behaviors. I'm like, okay, that's fine, guys. Patrick will speak about it. We cannot push as much as we did, but we need to make sure it's rolled out. And I see that there is this working group working very well together. I'm very happy. When I hear that Mickey is just doing all of this, like putting all of these behaviors everywhere in Valley Forge, I'm very happy. When I hear what you're doing on HR operations, I'm very happy. So there's a lot of things to be happy about. But again, let's be careful about our behaviors. And I really, really, really count on you. For the manager reviews in the US, I think it's very clear. And for the whole behaviors, the best way to be in pleasure and efficiency here is to work well together. Good. So that being said, I think it's time for Jen to share about something I'm very happy about, because you asked for it and Jen made it happen. Look at these nice pictures here. Jen?
We probably came the wrong way now. You're right. You can't see from over here. But as you guys might recall during the Rewire survey, we heard a lot of feedback that people want to get to know each other better. So thanks to almost all of you who have submitted your submission to the Global HR Directory. If you haven't, please do. But this is now available in the Global HR Team site. So you will all get this deck later. I don't expect you to remember, but it's right across the top of the General tab. There's a new little button, HR Directory, alphabetical order, and then there's a second tab that will group by sub-functions. So if you're looking for someone in benefits, you'll get to see the benefits team, or another department, talent acquisition, so on and so forth. So hopefully you guys find this helpful. It's really fun to read the fun facts about everyone and to see everybody's faces.
Thank you, Tim. Erin.
We're okay.
Stick with your 10 minutes.
Stick with my 10 minutes. Okay. So good morning, good afternoon. Nice to see everyone. To Veronique's point, and there is a lot going on across the globe, and certainly a lot going on the US side. I think one of the most commonly asked questions Veronique and I both get is, how is this all going to work? And what Veronique also said is it doesn't happen overnight. So, we will take time and we will take progress and put the right path to go forward. And these are some things that this team will start to see more and more of. So at the last town hall, I believe, Veronique, you introduced not only the strategy and vision and mission, but here are the key priorities that we're really looking at from a global HR perspective. The interesting thing from the US, as I look at these three pillars, so if you think about, you guys are testing my eyes, the local business partnering, you've got talent in the center, and then ultimately communication and culture at the end. The US team and the domestic US team touches all three pillars. So not only are they driving sort of the strategy and the development in many cases, but they're also developing execution. So I'll tie this to the example that Veronique just gave on performance management. So while our team doesn't design processes on the talent process, we are essentially accountable for facilitating and ensuring that that takes place. So we work with Marguerite and her team, and it all kind of comes together in a way that we can execute seamlessly for the business. We know it's not perfect right now. We know that there is a lot going on. And so one of the things that we're starting to get more clear about is, what does that agenda really need to look like as we move forward? So these are the pillars that we'll continue to stay focused on. It is a massive agenda. And the only way that we actually can accomplish this is, to Veronique's point, is focusing on ourselves first. So I fundamentally believe that us thinking about how we operate as an organization and an HR team is going to be like the magic that brings all of this together. So let's talk about that for a second. It's like that whole, the analogy of, you have to put your mask on first before you can help someone else on the airplane. This is us putting the mask on and taking a deep breath to actually say, how do we focus on ourselves? So if you think about the US structure, and I know there's requests to see org charts and all of those things, but I want to take a step back first. So the US structure is really divided by three areas of focus. So you've got what I would say is field HR, corporate HR. What you'll hear me start talking about is HRBPs and generalists across the organization. They are the client facing. So if we think about the business units and the corporate folks, at the end of the day, they're the ones most of the time interfacing with our business units and the functions day in and day out. So they are the face of HR in many cases. And they essentially need to work very, very effectively with our COEs locally, and then HR operations. As I take a step back, we have big opportunities. So we have two different TA teams. How do we start bringing those together in a really effective way? We've seen some good wins in different places. And so now the big focus is, how do you merge them? How do we think about the wins that worked well in the COE? How do we think about the things that worked well in the Energize team and bring those all together? A lot of really good work that we can get pleasure and efficiency by bringing them all together. Similarly, there's a lot of conversation around comp. My friend Ballard would say, he just wants a comp philosophy. Me too. So one of the big things that we're focused on is, how do we really bring that together? And that's a reflection, honestly, of how much this business has changed in 3 years. So we have to do a little bit of a reset with our business partners to say, how do we show up? How do we think about our comp practices that'll support this business in the place that we find ourselves right now? Christine, I'll give you a shout out. I'm pinging this or coining this all the time. Christine told me 6 weeks ago, we find ourselves at a moment in time and we have to reflect on the moment and adjust appropriately. That's what we're doing right now. Across the board, we have to adjust. We have to have a strategy that will really enable this business as we move forward. Last, but certainly not least, HR operations. And, you know, that is the payroll, that is benefits. Those are all the great services that, quite frankly, happen most of the time without us really recognizing it. It's almost like you walk into a room and you flip the switch on and you expect your lights to go on. That's how I envision operations. So every day you're hitting that switch, the lights go on. Sometimes they're the folks that don't get as much thank you as they probably should deserve because it just happens. But as we have more in HR operations, it gives more space across the board to the business partners and the COEs to really start thinking about services differently. One thing that I would say to Veronique's point, there's so much good here. There is so much good here. And part of it is actually breaking down the silos that I think we've all experienced. So the Rewire survey, as I've now coined the glow up survey from HR, a lot of the feedback was, we don't understand each other's roles. So it's really hard to hold each other accountable when you actually don't know who's supposed to be doing what. So that's one of the big things that we're going to be thinking about. So as I think about how we support the business, the biggest thing we can do is support ourselves first, because the more we support ourselves and get clear about our value proposition, the better we show up. And so that's going to be the first thing that we continue to focus on. Veronique mentioned we had a full day meeting with my team and my direct reports. And it was, you know, ask the folks that were there, I think it was a really good opportunity for us to, one, put everything out there that we think is on our plates, have some conversation, constructive conversation about roles and responsibilities. It was somewhat entertaining to say, you heard the conversation, well, I thought you were responsible for that. No, I thought that person was responsible for it. And we're like, well, at this point, no one is. So let's drive some clarity and get a path forward. So a lot of really good work. And let's just talk about how that translates to next steps. So a bit of a preview. The near term, it goes back to this whole piece. We've got to focus on ourselves so we can focus on the business. Veronique mentioned it, the business units and the company are all in a little bit of a different spot. And so one of the things that the HRBPs that lead the different business units and corporate, they've got to really think about how does the HR strategy enable those businesses. So there's some planning that's going on across the board. You know, that's some work that will continue to happen. As we think about optimizing HR operations, you know, Jen and Chris and others have been doing some work around how do we think about our scope of services? How do we start to think about where can we add services? How do we optimize? How do we leverage technology? How do we just partner more effectively? How do we sort of, to Veronique's point, put the elephant on the table? If there's an issue, let's talk about it in a constructive way and let's drive resolution. So that's going to be a big part. And then the other part is what did I say? Integrating talent acquisition teams. So we talked about those things. There's some really great wins. There's some good momentum. I think the biggest thing for us is to get organized and get really clear about who's driving what. You could really quickly try to boil the ocean. We are not going to do that. I am a fan of like 3 to 5 clear goals. Let's nail them. Veronique, you've said this, under promise, over deliver. That will be the mantra of the US team. There's a lot of work that we can do very, very effectively, but there is a ton of detail behind the scenes. So you will start to see now that we've gotten a good cadence with the broader HR organization, a cadence for the US team on communication, team gathering, update, all of that. So be on the lookout. There's an all hands meeting, I think in the next 2 weeks that you guys will see after this meeting. That's where we're getting into the details behind how we're thinking about the HR ops scope, where the business partners are talking about their teams. A few shifts have taken place there, the priorities of the businesses, and then really talking about some of the COE efforts that are underway. So I think one of the things that we've all probably enjoyed is sharing across the table and learning that we're more the same than we are different. And so how do we actually leverage that as we move forward? So that's what we've been up to for the last, I would say, 60 days since we were all together. A lot of really great work that is candidly inspired by all of you. Jen saw me this morning. I constantly go back to the Rewire. I constantly go back to some of your feedback. Know that we hear you. We are trying to adapt to your feedback as much as possible. So if you've got ideas, please continue to share. That's helping us move forward. So that's what I got on the US side. Veronique, anything I didn't hit?
Thank you so much, Erin. Just one more thing here, and I think it's clear, and I'm happy that you will have specific US meetings, and I will join some of them with you, but I think that will be very good to have this cadence to have some follow-ups. We received the questions just before the town hall. The question was, can you share with us what is the success of the Center of Excellence implementation? I don't know if it was a US or an international question, but I can tell you if I reply for international, speaking on behalf of Desiree and Agatha here, and the whole team with Margaret and Patrick, we had the Center of Excellence of Talent and Communication, which worked very well in international last year. We managed to really improve on the performance management, and now it's really a process which is really, really well rolled out. And on communication and BUGI, we did that in Europe before as a pilot, and it worked very well. Of course, key success factor, behaviors, wanted to work together and collaborate. But I know we can do the same. So I'm very happy about the fact that you will have some specific meetings in the US and in the common town hall. We'll make sure we speak about the whole scope here. But we know that US for the moment is a very big priority because we want to fix a lot of things over there, and we know, and I'm totally convinced that with the energy I saw over there, you can do it very well.
Yep.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, Margaret on talent management. You want me to use the mic? Do you hear? Do you hear myself or?
No, you have to move closer to the microphone.
And just mute yourself on your computer. You want to try?
Can you hear us? Can you hear? Patrick, can you hear us? Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, it's better.
Good, perfect. Yeah, in this room, I hope you can hear me. So good morning, everyone. Yes. No. Is it better? I don't have my son. No, because now, can you still hear me?
If more than one person speaks at the same time, we cannot hear you.
Okay, but now can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. No more changes. So good afternoon, good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, everyone in Europe. I'm super happy again to be here today, speaking about talent management. So as Veronique just mentioned, talent management, it's not only talent management, it should be talent and performance management, actually. It's been only 1 month since I've been taking my new role. And I can definitely tell that we have some very different maturity levels across the organization on these two specific dimensions. So what we will be doing with the team talent management and performance management is to start from the foundation of what is talent and performance management, which is our integrated talent and performance management cycle. So this will be the foundation of everything we will be doing in the very short term, just making sure that this full cycle we are back to full implementation and an harmonized implementation across the organization. So what is performance and talent management? It's basically making sure we drive accountability within the organization by making sure that all of our employees have clear goals, know what is expected from them, and are clear on how they will impact the organization on its overall performance. So that's performance management, and that's the cycle in which we all are currently. So in the US, this process has been launched 3 weeks ago. In Europe, it has been kicked off yesterday. So we are all across the organization today going through the performance management process. And this will take place up until November 18th. On November 18th, we expect all employees across the organization, so both on the domestic and the international side, to have goals set in one of our 3 HR systems. When we will switch to Q2, we will start going through the talent review process. Talent review is everything that is enabling us to map our current talents and identifying potentials for the future and making sure we develop this potential so that in the future we have the right competencies that we need for our organization. So we will be busy during the second quarter working through talent reviews. Then it's okay, we have identified which competencies we have, we know which competencies we need, and we will develop our employees making sure we close the gap between what we have today and what we need in the future. So we'll be focusing on implementing individual development plans. We may have to prioritize. We'll discuss that with our senior leaders, but this will be what the team will be focused on in the third quarter. And then last quarter is following up on individual performance actions, going through the media reviews, check-ins, and preparing for the new cycle to start at the start of the upcoming fiscal. So this is the foundation of everything we will do. We will have other transversal initiatives depending on the roadmap we will decide all together. Transversal initiatives could be engagement surveys, could be, do we want to launch an onboarding process which is harmonized across the organization? Exit interviews. How do we assess our talents when they join the organization? So all of these other initiatives will be decided as we go through the year and depending on what the business actually mentioned as needs. But the foundation, we will all in our talent and performance group will be focusing on integrated talent and performance cycle, which is the foundation. It's not what we should have, it's a must-have. Now, to support this roadmap, this is the high-level structure of what will be the global talent and performance management team. So it's basically 4 pillars, which are all of them interconnected. One pillar in that specific team can't operate and be efficient without the 3 other pillars. So it's talent management, so talent reviews, it's mapping our talents and identifying development opportunities for the future. Performance management, it's the one handled by Aaron, in which we are currently all focusing our energy on. It's learning and development with Wendy and Doug. And we'll have strategic workforce planning, which sounds like a difficult item for many of us, just because us as an organization, we are not very strong on strategic workforce planning. What it is, it's just how do we anticipate the needs, the competencies needs that we'll have in the future. So we need to change the culture a little bit on this item as well, because we know that culturally speaking, we have a hard time focusing on the long term. So the future is basically tomorrow. No, the future, we need to be able to anticipate, let's say in a 3-year time frame, what will be the competencies we need so that us as an HR team, we can develop, attract competencies that will support the business in the longer term. So that's strategic workforce planning. It will start from the top. So we need to have good discussions with our senior leaders to see which is their vision about the future. And then we'll have working groups within HR to make sure we can implement action planning depending on these inputs from the business. So 4 pillars, interconnected. I want all of our team members to be fully accountable of one specific pillar. So Aaron will be accountable of performance management. Wendy and Doug will be accountable of learning and development. For now, I will keep strategic workforce planning and see how we structure this specific pillar in the future. And talent management, so talent reviews, is a pillar on which we will open a position. So anyone willing to apply will be able to apply to fill in that position. So our ambition is, as a team, to remain interconnected. I don't want to see any silos within that specific team. We will be also super connected with the business and with you as other functions within HR. And I want this team to make a little bit of a cultural change as well and to become truly global. So each time we will decide or speak about a specific initiative, I want all of us to start thinking global and then see if global makes sense or if we need to drill down to business units, to domestic versus international. But the starting point of all of our discussions will be global. So that's for the high-level structure. Now, just to provide you, but I already spoke a little bit about it, performance management. So to deep dive a little bit on what's currently ongoing, it's performance management. Many of you in the US are in close contact with Aaron. Aaron, thank you again for everything you do to support this specific and very key process in the organization. And on the international side, Agatha, Desiree, and Trish, supported by our HR business partners, did a tremendous work to make sure that this process, the kickoff, was super smooth this year. And I want to truly thank everyone here for making this journey easy. So ongoing for everyone, very similar processes, even though we still have 3 systems in place. And we have a common goal to close this process, which is all goals to be in the systems by November 22nd, so the week of November 18th. It's a push, we all know that, but we'll get there together if we have the proper behaviors, if we do support the business as they expect us to support them. There's no reason why we can't make it happen. So thank you, everyone, for your support on this, and we are at your disposal, of course, if you need anything.
Thank you very much, Marguerite. Yeah, you can applause if you want. We've been applauding 2 years in Europe now. It's so. No, thank you very much. And I just remind again, I said it in introduction, so that will be the last time, that manager review for all and especially for HR, please do it now. So when we have the start tomorrow or the day after, it's 100% for HR. Thank you so much. Patrick, your turn now.
Yep. So I'll move fairly quickly because we do want to leave some time for questions. So I just wanted to show you this slide, just to, again, you see the big picture, how we're building on. Now, okay, why and the what, also the how in terms of in my area, the big scope of area that we have, both in terms of communications, but also with regards to culture and diversity and inclusion, having both of a global approach, but allowing for flexibility. We need to be able to adapt to the local context. And I have some examples of that in some of the projects we've been working on. So in this, this is what the current structure looks like with me leading the team. Of course, you know the names down at the bottom, and this is what we're currently what's currently working. And Yvonne is sort of hidden there at the end. That's the UGI International, and Mara, of course, being with AmeriGas. Now, the next one, it's sort of along with what Marguerite was talking about. Besides having their business unit responsibilities, I also want the team to work transversely, to grab things and work. So for example, within global communications, Christy from Utilities and I worked very hard together on our new brand guide that we are about to unveil in the coming weeks. Hopefully, it's been a long project ongoing, which is a transversal project. So I wanted to do that with everybody. And we have a working session on Thursday with the team where we're going to identify more in terms of what people are interested in, what they want to sort of dig their hands into and work. And so I'll come back to you with more information. With regards in the center, internal culture, one of the big things that you can see now in the different buildings is the BUGI campaign. All of this stuff was developed by a working group with representatives from the different business units. And I really appreciate everybody taking turn and taking the time and digging in. We adjusted the approach a few times, and then I'll show you in the next slide. We'll provide a bit more information. And diversity and inclusion, which I'm very passionate about. I've been teaming up with Drew, and so we've been doing interviews with regards to the BIDE Council and trying to figure out how can we sort of create a BIDE 2.0, the next generation of BIDE Council. And we have a kickoff meeting on Thursday together with Mario and all the representatives from the different pillars and the different ERGs, trying to find a better way to move forward with BIDE. So yes, so with that said, going back to this campaign, the BUGI. So we just working through what we've decided to do is a soft launch. This material is available to you. You go in on our HR page on the intranet. You can download the backgrounds. You can download the templates to change your email signature. You can add the banner if you want. You will have you'll see the roll-ups or not roll-ups. What are they called? pop-up banners in the different buildings. Posters are coming, being delivered this week. So Nikki here in the building and her team are identifying where the posters are going up. So we're little by little, you will see this. And we're hoping for sort of an organic growth, that people will take it and say, I like that. I like that. Oh, I would like to have that team background. And all of these collaterals are available to you in this space, and you can download them. And with that said, there's a little bit of an animation. So we've done 2 animations, and I just wanted to show you the short animation, which is about our people leader behaviors. And again, those animations are also available.
Much better.
Oh, yeah.
You got it?
Our vision is to provide safe, reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy for our customers and communities. As a people leader, you've got what it takes to get us there and to make sure that no one is left behind. You shine a light on our values and make sure our people act in line with our core behaviors, making our business better inside and out. As a people leader, your behavior inspires others. You get the best out of your team by monitoring their performance and the implementation of our key deliverables. You clearly communicate roles and responsibilities. You hold people accountable. You highlight performance capabilities or issues early on and provide objective, constructive feedback. You motivate those around you, enabling the resources needed to overcome roadblocks to success. You make sure your team's work aligns with their goals and motivations. You communicate our vision and strategy in a relatable way. Your actions create energy, optimism, and shared success. As a people leader, you act quickly and effectively to make big, well-balanced decisions. You make good, outcome-driven decisions based on analysis, input from others, experience, and judgment. You balance short-term and long-term benefits and consequences. We're committed to improving the lives of our employees, customers, and those in the communities we serve. But we cannot do it without you. BU, BUGI.
Yes, thank you. And just to reflect that this video and the other animation that you have is now, it's all over, it's in, including the US now, it's 17 countries, Poland, France, Belgium, Sweden, Denmark, and we're all UJ employees in our different brands, because we in Europe we have lots of very strong brands there too. But we're all watching the same animation. We all have the same type of materials, and we are finally sharing these values and our core behaviors. So I'm excited about that. That's me.
Thank you so much, Patrick. And again, thanks to the working groups on BUGI. I think that's a good example of what we can do together in terms of achievement and behaviors. So as Patrick said, it will be an organic one. We want to push for it. And at the same time, we want the BU president to take what they want and roll it out. I want to thank the COM team who sent all of these emails to the president and who will work with the business partners to make sure it happens. And I can't wait to be back in Valley Forge next week to see all of these posters and collateral everywhere. Q&A, I'm sorry, we're trying to make our best. We wanted to have 10 minutes for Q&A. We have 4 minutes, but please feel free to ask any question you may have here. And I promise we'll make sure we improve from one town hall to another. 4 minutes here. Don't hesitate to ask questions. Don't be shy.
Yes, we have a question here in the room. Yes.
Very good. Can you put the room? Can you remove this slide so we can see people?
Here I come.
Okay, that's so good to see you guys.
Hi, it's Samantha Massey. I always have questions. Everybody who knows me knows that.
Thank you, Samantha. We love that.
So first question I have is for Patrick. I'm sorry, I did not say that correctly.
Okay, that's okay.
Will there be an actual style guide that will go with that information so that if we want to do some updates in other places so that we're more consistent with the way we look
Yes.
to do that branding?
Yes. It'll be
Beautiful.
a full document with a style guide
Awesome.
and everything. Yes.
I'm all about that. Yeah. Beautiful. I'm all about that because our
You're style compliant. You do a good job.
I try and the People Connect stuff needs to, we should update and make sure that our blues match and all that kind of stuff. And then the other question that I had was, so the talking about competencies, are competencies going to be driven from the employee saying like where they are and how they can offer, or is it going to be the reverse? Where these are the competencies that we're looking for in this department and we're going to put people there that have that.
Marguerite, Veronique.
I'm not quite sure I got the question. Can you
want
rephrase?
clarity? I'll ask if Samantha will come back. All right, go ahead.
We see you running, Sam.
My new hip's getting a workout. All right. So competencies meaning that, so thinking about the idea of when I'm doing my performance review, where I am and what I'm good at. So I feel I offer this to my team. I can provide these things because this is what I've been trained in. This is what I've been educated in. These are the experiences that I've had. Or is it going to be driven the other way where?
Both, Samantha. That's the thing. The beauty and the magic happen in life when you manage to, of course, take the talent of people, and our aim is to really tap into the brain of all of our talented HR people and feed that to the organization. It's just so that's really a common approach here. And all of the studies and experience shows you that when people like what they do, that's why this is where they are at their best. Of course, it has to fit with the need of the organization. So I really want to reply both. But I'm really happy about your question because what I really want to see happening is people being really responsible for what they want to do. So that's the great opportunity, this performance review, to really put on the table what you want to do here.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to see you in the room, Valley Forge.
Any other questions in the room or in the chat or from our online?
So I think we will have to close soon. Patrick, I can't.
Yeah. So Veronique, there was one question that was sent in advance, and if you just a couple of minutes address that, is about employee morale. What are the plans to improve employee morale?
Oh, that's the huge question. And I'm sorry, I will repeat myself, but it's a lot about starting with behaviors. And we have a role here in HR. The thing is, there's two ways to look at life. You look it with a black glass, or you look at it with the pink glass. I want to say pink. Huh? I was thinking about the color, the pink glass, just the positive way. And I think the employee morale really starts with the role of each of our managers. You just saw this video. What is the role of our leaders? I think you saw there drives engagement. And I'm trying to do that with you, by the way. I just want to make sure we don't have total clarity yet, but we can be very clear on the behaviors we want to have. So that's really, it's not like just, I could say a program saying, hey, you're all happy, it won't work. It's all about how do we behave ourselves to make sure that it happens on the workplace. Coming back to emotional intelligence, at the end of the day, if we're all just negative, blah, 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 then we will increase the low employee morale. If we start to change the game, just with this Gandhi at the end, be the change you want to see in the world, and behave in a different way. And I'm not saying everything is great. This is bad. This is the idea I have. I am a problem solver. So to answer this is just, I don't have a magic like saying, okay, suddenly everybody is happy. But I have a magic thing is behaviors, and I told you, can change right now. So let's start with us. Let's be the one who just change this morale here. And I know that to be happy, we have to make sure we have great clarity, and that's what I want to focus on our team, and great behaviors. That's the game at the end. Anything to add here? No. I'm sorry, I'm so passionate about that.
Okay, I'll let you wrap up then.
Patrick, I count on you to do an energizing over there.
Sure.
We did it already in France, but you know, again, that starts with that. Just like move the body, try to be together, share, and that's where the magic will happen. And of course, we'll give you more clarity. I can't wait to be back and see all of my colleagues over there in Valley Forge starting next week. I will be there until Thanksgiving, so I will have time with you over there, guys. And of course, we'll make sure we all connect together. We have our next session. It's on the 17th of October on artificial intelligence. Thanks to Wendy. She took the initiative. It's free for us, and it will be a great thing to review together. And the next town hall will be in November, and that will be in another location. So we'll have to decide where. That will be somewhere in the US. Thank you all for joining today. Very happy to connect all together. Let's do a big applause for that. Let's finish in French. À très bientôt. Au revoir.